Oliver. So Oliver was also at the Dark Sphere 40K GT, and he also informed one. But he brought the Tactical Brigade, right? So another side of the coin. So here we see him with the Wall Boys. So what's up, Wall Boys? He ended up losing the second round, just like our other get that we just covered. So I'd like to know what that mission was. If you guys ever see this, let us know in the comments after. So let's take a look at his path to victory. And of course, our get brought the squig. Yes, someone has done it. Someone brought mounted intentionally and took it to a GT and successfully went X and 1. Let's give him a shout out, you guys. Come on, everybody give him a wah. Against all odds, against all anticipation, against all my doubts, and surely yours. Oliver said, I will take these Squighog boys. So let's take a look. He is a beast boss on Squigosaur with Mork's Cunning. Now, it's important that it's on him or a unit that doesn't have to be inside of a transport because, as far as we understand it, if a model has the enhancement and is inside of a transport, the enhancement doesn't get activated, right? So some people will say because it's not explicit enough that you can still use it even inside of a transport. That's up to your TO. So simply ask them. Now you have a Big Mac and Mega Armor with Mech Captain because it's awesome. You have Boss Snickrot because having low op character is fantastic. I still think that Snickrot needs to come back down at least 10 points. Yes, he does. He's straight up 10 points. And then we have Ghazghkull Thraka, followed by 2 war bosses. We have 1 unit of boys, followed by Storm Boys. I like 10-man units of boys, man. Call me old fashioned. Tell me what you guys think. You like 10-man units of boys still? Let's give a shout out to the 10-man units of boys and their sticky objectives out here you get. Because people just always underappreciate just how good just a good old fashioned unit of orc boys can be. So then we have 1 truck. Let me make sure I didn't fat finger something. And that I'm missing more trucks. But no, he actually just had 1 truck. All right, cool. Actually, I didn't fat finger nothing. He only had 1 truck. Battle wagon, a 10-man unit of flash kits, simply 1 unit of grot. So the inverse of what we've seen from his counterpart, where he brought all the grots he could bring. This guy brought no grots. Just 1 grot. Sorry, 1 grot. And then we also see a big old unit of Meganobz with Ghaz. Yes, guys, he brought the full 6-man unit of Meganobz with Ghaz. We've seen this on and off, right? It's not unheard of for orc players to bust this out and go X and 1 at events. But by golly, we haven't seen it with tactics, right? You guys haven't seen this get no crazy like that. And it's usually because people assume it's just not really worth it. The fact that you can't give them stealth and cover because the Meganob keyword, you're just like, oh, I guess I can only give you reroll charges that has any value here. That sucks. Now, the other idea is that, hey, I get to actually stand in the middle of the table and threaten you with playing the middle of the table in a way that everything else gets to kind of can control the range. Now, what's interesting here is he also doesn't have tank busters, for example. So no breaker boys and no tank busters. So we have 2 5-man units of knobs with power claws, followed by 1 Rucker Truck Squig Buggy for that indirect fire. Let's go. Now that indirect fire does have another ability where on 4 pluses you end up getting kind of like shocked in place the enemy unit that you hit, so they get -2 to move, advance, and charge, I believe. On a 4 plus, of course, it's not reliable as neither is indirect, but hey, he brought it. Maybe he used it as a direct fire and he just wanted the ability to possibly go off. Not sure. And then he brought the 4 squigs to go right alongside that beast boss. Now, you do want to take advantage of Mork Cunning here for the redeploy. You're going to be redeploying the battle wagon, redeploying the Ghazghkull Thraka, and possibly redeploying Snickrot and or the Squigosaurus. I like to think you take the squig boss and you kind of redeploy him into reserves. So like you kind of use him as I'm going to deploy him on the line and get the enemy to kind of commit to him so that they can't commit to Gas and him and the battle wagon. And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna throw him in reserve and then use him as an ingress. Now, will you actually just run up and use him? UKTC terrain, possibly. But this does very much look like this is a full aggro kind of army in disguise. As well, I guess not really disguise, right? He has a giant brick of gas. But I mean, like in disguise as to he can redeploy and not really tell you his hand at that exact moment. He can go ahead and put knobs in the battle wagon. He can go ahead and put the flat. Most of the time, though, for the most part, people are putting the flash kits in the truck just for them to act independently. Fits the transport capacity perfectly. So people, for the most part, will end up doing that. you will take those 2 units of knobs and then the 10-man units of boys and put them in the wagon, in my opinion. And then just end up chucking it up the field alongside Ghaz. Things just get crazy from that point. You have Snickrot to kind of act around a little action monkey and stay safe from getting shot. He can also act as kind of bait, so everybody stages up for the first 2 turns, and he's simply barely standing outside your deployment zone or barely standing on the no man's land. And then boom, starts getting kicked off, right? So I love to see him. Squigs are overcosted. So the fact that he brought him means that he's an awesome get, and I really appreciate it. And I'm not sure if it's exactly because of UKTC terrain or not. You know, I just remember too. I can actually know a mission. I think I can find out a mission too. I think I know a mission. That was dumb. Can I know? Sorry. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our Waaaghtaktiks dice. So shout them out. Check them out in the description. 5% off in the discount because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them. So we're gonna take a look at his path to victory. I'm gonna see if I can see what his check one more time because I feel like, man, I should have been able to see it. So his first game for Oliver is the Tau Empire, Kai Yun. So it's funny. How do you guys feel about the Tau Empire? I always get a bunch of different comments on them, and they're one of those factions that people love to hate. So you know, do you see yourself, you know, hating them? Do you have a hard time as an orc player dealing with them? Yeah, so let us know. And I was pulling up here one more time to see if I could see the event missions, but no, I didn't. Oh, actually, maybe one more time. Did I miss it? I was like, boy, did I miss it? Oh, guys, I think we might have found it. Yeah, so let's take a look at this mission real quick, and then I'll actually be able to pull it out for you. Yes, I might just have. Luckily, I found it while we looked at mission 1 to make sure I can actually pull this up. Yeah, I don't know how I missed that the first 2 times around. So we have the Tau Empire with Commander in Coalstar Battle Suit, 2 of them, followed by 2 units of Breachers. Ooh, these guys are quite effective. And then 1 Devilfish. So surprisingly, it's only 1. Typically, you put the Devilfish, you put the Breachers inside of them. They get out of the Devilfish, can move. You can disembark from it, and then the units can shoot. And if you're on an objective, they get 3 roll wounds. They're strength 6. I think they're AP 1, and then you can get them additional AP. Pretty effective package of just shooting against other like infantry that is an elite. We have 1 unit of broadside battle suits, followed by 1 unit of knife battle suit, or 2 units of fire knife battle suits, followed by 2 units of Kroot carnivores. Actually, 3 of them. Goodness, sorry guys. It's 3 units of Kroot carnivores, 2 pathfinders, 2 riptide battle suit, 3 units of stealth suits, and then 2 units of Vespid. So Vespid have uppy downy, stealth suits infiltrate, and then they also obviously have literally stealth built into them. T4, little, you know, what are they? 2-man? I think they're 3-man unit, 2-man units. I always forget. I think they're 3-man unit, 2-man units. Sorry, little 2-man units. Yeah. Let me remind me. I'm right far here. Then of course the Riptides for their big gun platforms. Now, yeah, usually Tau have a lot of units, but it's good to really set the tempo on them, right? Orcs really love to go first against that Tau matchup, especially if it's, let's pull up the mission. I think I actually have it here, guys. So I thought, oh, where is it? There we go. All right, you're looking at it with me. There we go. So it's Terraform Swift Action. Oh, let me see. Do I have my little let's see. Hold on, guys. Put you over here real quick. Pull up something. Pen. Pen. There it is. Sorry, guys. I'm pulling up a little pointer so we can go along with this. Let's see. Ugly what color. How's Chad doing, by the way? I haven't seen. I feel like I haven't talked to y'all in a minute. I haven't talked to you guys in a while, even though we're always constantly live around here. Dang, why is this color not showing? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get my pointer out, and it's just ugly color. We'll try that right now. We'll try that for now. Yeah, it looks pretty ugly. All right, put this away. So for mission 1, Terraform Swift Action. So we were talking about. Dang, I could done this before. I feel like I missed out. So Terraform Swift Action on UKTC. You can see it's a little bit different. Pretty good, like straight up staging spots for kind of big brick units, in my opinion. Not like the simplest because you do have to run around them typically. But people do like, for example, let me see if I can get my little activation here. I'm trying to write. That's why I got. You see my little pointer? You guys can't see it on screen? Let's see. Get rid of this. Huh. Sorry, guys. I was trying to pull this pointer out. It doesn't look like my drawing thing is working for the display. No, it doesn't. So in this natural expansion, and the no man's land, you can see in both of them on both sides, on the left and right of this deployment zone, that they're quite safe for you to run up in there and get L-shaped and stage behind that objective. That's a crazy secure zone, in my opinion. So that you end up really just contesting no man's land, which is where you have a big missile of I have Ghaz that's staging in my deployment zone that can easily run across there. Or I can even be really cheeky and run from one side of the field and really like hammer and anvil from the other side with like knobs in the battle wagon, for example. So let me get this little thing I had off screen because messed up my stream. So now you're looking, now that I showed you the actual deployment zone and the actual layout, you can see how a battle wagon full of knobs boys or just a big missile of Ghaz could find a couple places to move up securely. Yet at the same time, with the enemy's natural expansion zone, you can't really get to it and contest it anywhere too safely, especially if you don't really have infiltrators that can kind of cross that no man's land kind of safely. So he also didn't bring tank busters, which were pretty interesting that he doesn't bring tank busters in here. You could take Squig Hog boys and use them to stage up in here too. So I actually do really like that. UKTC train's a little bit different. See that? Love to see that. Yeah, and then Terraforma. Like I said though, with Tau, you do really just want to put the pace on them. So love to see that. Big 70-point win there. But like I said, ooh, okay, we did have it, like I assumed. Moving on to round 2. So now we move on to round 2. We do see that it was Purge the Foe, Smoke and Mirrors. One thing to keep in mind, Smoke and Mirrors, you get to put more guys in reserve in secondary to the additional 500 and kind of just pick them up. So we already have redeploy with Mork's Kunnin, which he also did bring on this list. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. And let's look at his actual opponents, which I do have a little bit on his opponents here. I'll pull up his list. He goes into the Leagues of Votann. So it's a bit different of a Leagues of Votann list. And remember, not everyone has, reps into this army. A little bit newer in the grand scheme of things, and a little bit unique, but kind of similar to Marines at the same time. I do like how they're a little bit more tough though, which gives them their own like different durability and toughness in the orc matchup. So we have just one character here, which is the Iron Master. We have one unit of battle line, which the cool thing about these guys, they can split apart into 2 5-man units. We have 3 Sagittars, 1 Thunderkin, 2 10-man units of Berserkers, followed by 1 5-man units of Berserkers, 2 units of Hecaton Land Fortresses, and then 3 units of Pioneers, followed by a unit of Jaegers. Jaegers are pretty sick. Jaegers have the ability to reactionary move, get close to them, and infiltrate. T5, so respectively durable, 10-man unit. So it's like their version of commandos. Pioneers will play the flanks, secondaries. They can be pulled off the table if they want to, or they'll use them to kind of shoot away your skirmish units, like Storm Boys, for example. 2 land fortresses that act as transports, kind of like their version of battle wagons. The real interesting bread and butter of this list that we see here are his actual berserkers. So I'm going to pull up the berserkers here real quick. Boom. So he brought 2 10-man units of these berserkers. I think they have a pretty interesting data sheet, especially as an orc player. You might too. They're T5, kind of orky as well. They only move 5 though, pretty slow. 2 wounds of pop, 5 up, feel no pain. They do all each have concussion mauls, which are 3 attacks hitting on 4s, strength 9, -2, 3 damage. They do have a strat that gives them access to minus an additional AP, if they're fighting the grudge target. Yeah, and then when they die, they get to fight on death on the 4+. It's built into their data sheet. They do actually have a weird ability with their mole launcher gun, which is this weird little indirect gun right here that you can see that hits on 4s natively, so it would hit on 5s with indirect. But if it hits you on a 4+, it's subtract 2 to your movements and your advance and charge. So yeah, pretty interesting. Yeah, we're looking at knobs exactly. It's weird because it's kind of like what we wish knobs were to a degree, because they're damage 3 if they're gonna be hitting on 4s. Yeah, but these guys are damaged 3, and then they get up to AP -3, and then they don't. They get that +1 to hit usually if they're hitting a grudge target, so they're getting a grudge target, and then they have feel no pains. So what would you rather have, feel no pains or having a 4-up armor saves and access to a 5-up invul and then -1 to wound, right? Mind you, those guys are also only 200 points, but that's not bad because knobs are 210 points. So you be the judge of what you think. I think knobs are pretty solid though. The another thing we have here is Thunderkin, which most likely had that character that we've seen on there. And as for the Thunderkin, pull up their data sheet real quick. He was running the Graviton blasters, which are these anti-vehicle 2+ blast weapons. Only 18-inch range, but these guys actually do have unmodified hit rolls of 5+ are used for Overwatch instead of just 6s. So they end up putting up some interesting Overwatch as well. And then they also, and normally when they shoot, they get +1 to hit roll just from having this character in this unit. If he was choosing to lead them, which I assume he was, and they can also heal the vehicles that they're alongside with. Of course, the 3 Sagittars. Sagittars are cool because they're team 10. They get little dudes inside of them, so you take like a 5-man unit of those berserkers and then 2 of these 5-man units of warriors and fill them up. So a lot of the time, how these guys end up working out is the Jaegers infiltrate, Sagittars will scout, and then they'll disembark kind of some of their chaff, try to absorb the wall wave, and when we wall into them, and then be left over with their berserkers, or because they're the way this Leagues of Votann list seems to be working like is that they're substituting their version of Terminators, quote unquote, for their berserkers. Therefore, I assume the berserkers coming in to clean up, help them clean up and punch stuff off their vehicles, their transports, their tanks, their land raiders that soaked up the wall. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with this, just the amount of scouting that they get with their guns and putting DACA on you and making you feel like you have to come out and attack them could be a little intimidating and force some bad moves, or you just don't understand that like you put the non-judge token units on first, because if they kill one of your judge token units, then they get more judgment token back, CP back, excuse me, and they can put on more judgment tokens. Also, if you kill them, you get a judgment token. So there's a bunch of little things going on here. It'd be really annoying for Ghaz to have to get around, especially if 3 different mole launcher dudes all decided they were going to shoot at Ghaz's unit and make him like almost unable to move at all. That'd be pretty something, right? If you just attempted all 3 of your mole launchers from each of your berserker unit, and you're like, I'm just going to try to not allow Ghaz to move, so he would be -2 to hit movement in advance in charge rolls. It's like, oh, that would very much suck. So I don't know if that happened. I'm just saying, like, that's something you have to think about that we just don't get context for. As for Purge the Foe, it's notoriously one of Orc's hardest missions. As we covered another Orc player earlier, he lost on round 2 as well, and he lost because it was Purge the Foe 2. A lot of the time, the enemy can just play defensive, simply hold one, objective in no man's land, and then really just kill the rest of you. You not really have to try to contest the rest. Maybe they'll toe up into the middle. Maybe they'll, fight with your natural expansion a little bit, but for the most part, they don't have to. Then we move on to round 3. Round 3 with good old search and destroy deployment. We got taken hold with hidden supplies. So this is old cheeky mission, highly aggressive and high scoring. Of course, going second would be a factor here because you could just go flat 15 at the end of the game. So that'd be something else right here. Let's take a look at my boy's game. Here's his round. Put that up. That was round 3. So let's take a look at his round 3. So he did lose that Leagues of Votann game 44. They move into his round 3, where he goes into the Raven Guard. So we've been seeing more. I've been seeing more and more of this like Raven Guard type spearhead such. What do you guys think this is? Is this just people are trying to figure it out because for fun, or is there something really here? So we have 2 captains. We have Shrike himself, and then a lieutenant with combi weapons. I believe Shrike gives additional OC to, is it the jump pack units? I don't remember. I think it is. Well, somebody will tell me, I think. So we have 3 5-man units of assault jump packs, 1 brutalis, 1 unit of a centurion devastators. Now these are legit for Vanguard. These guys get, I think +1 to hit, and they get to re-roll, and they get additional AP, and they come off table edge, they get picked up again and shoot. It's pretty sick. We get some incursors, pretty unusual. 2 infiltrators, 1 scout, 1 5-man, 2 5-man units of stern guard, and then a Cladius assassin. So a bit unusual. So yeah, a bit unusual. What I will say here is that's on the inverse. It's like, look, what are you gonna do to stop Ghaz? What are you gonna do to stop Ghaz? You do have 4 objectives in Nomad's Land. That's the crazy part about hidden supplies. This just makes me think though that he was highly aggressive with his ability to just stage up and run through the enemy and try to go tag their home field objective. That would be mostly my game plan here, especially if I ended up going first, knowing that if I played too long of a long game and slow game, that they could just stack up all their points late game, and that they're playing Vanguard, so they're trying to play the table edges anyways and just shoot you and smash you up best they can. So it seems like you would just really occupy table space here. Snake Rock, not allowing them to come in from reserves in certain parts of the table would be actually helpful to a certain degree. Having indirect to kill some of those jetpack units when they're staging up so they can actually help him occupy space would be important. Your battle wagon keeping you safe, because of course the Centurions can pop it, but your redeployment ability would be really nice here. Just knowing that you can be like, okay, I can stage it up to be aggressive, but actually I'm just going to move it into this little pocket so it can't be shot instead. You can choose to do that. But I'm under the, not, mind you, haven't had super hard matchups into Vanguard to really give you firsthand knowledge like that on WQs on this UKTC terrain. But I'm subject to believe that's how you would really want that to go. And I mean, just look at his list. His list is pretty much just all throttle. So how are you really trying to play his list any other way? And he got a straight 98-point win there. So I'm just subject to believe that he went and just straight up assaulted him, which is really how you have to deal with Vanguard, especially if in something like that. Love to see these quick hog boys here though. Then we move on to his game 4, which is against, let's take a look there and then I'll pull up the mission. Game 4, which it was against Chaos Space Marines with veterans of the Long War. So these guys are wannabe Ultramarines. No, I'm just kidding. So Burden of Trust, and then prepared positions. That's fun. Interesting. Okay, that's a different sort of layout. So as you can see, if you're looking at the display, like, or if you're looking at your screen right now, on this top left corner of the board, which would be the mirror bottom right, that's quite an open little area right there, is it not? But from what I've seen from other, orc centric lists, is that this is why you bring a battle wagon along the bottom of the deployment zone. You can take your battle wagon, pretty dang safe to deploy right on the line there, advance out behind that L shape, boom, cut off most lines of fire there for it getting popped. And then you have a 20-man unit that can now stage up there and swing from that side of the battlefield. Ghaz can stage up right there in the middle safely, especially with a big old brick, meaning that you have some pretty secure places to launch missiles from. Which is something we've seen from UKTC terrain a lot. So if you find yourself playing on this similar style of terrain where you can stage up in these L shapes, you take advantage of that and you can change your list to be according to that. So yeah, as for prepared positions, one thing that I think is a little bit underappreciated, not that it's battle line in this, but when you do battle line for when you do go to ground for Meganobz, for example, if you're out in the open and you happen to have CP for some reason, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get cover here because I can't get it from an order. It's like, all right, that's kind of cool, I guess. Kind of cool, I guess, if the enemy can ignore cover. Now let me look up the enemy list real quick because I actually had it out and then I completely got rid of it. Let me get rid of some of these because I had everything. So we have the Chaos Lord, Master of Execution, Sorcerer, Terminator Armor, and then Warpsmith. 2 10 units of Cultists, a unit of Legionnaires, 2 units Legionnaires, sorry, and then 10 units Legionnaire. Not that I'm hating, but not a fan of these characters for Chaos. They just don't seem like they do enough. Yeah, the Chaos Lord kind of like wants to be a war boss, but he's not. But you're not. 10-man unit of Terminators, followed by a 5-man unit of Terminators, 5-man unit of Havocs, 5-man units of Possessed Land Raiders, and then a Vindicator. So he can definitely, get the rerolls and get some reliability here, but this is really just all T3 and T4 Space Marine bodies and cultist bodies getting chewed through by orcs. 90-point win there. And like we said, it was Burden of Trust and prepared positions. Like we said, our boy's mission, our boy Oliver here, Oliver, is that his name? I messed up. Yeah, Oliver list is just straight damage and aggression though. I mean, having those flash kits to really play those open lanes like we said here, right? Like if you can get your flash kits to stage up and then pop out and just kind of secure some of these open lanes or go alongside Ghaz to act as kind of like a Overwatch kind of like secure, right? There's like weird moments where you might actually be able to use your flash kits to stop Ghaz from getting countercharged if you put them kind of near each other where you can overwatch the enemy before he gets to Ghaz, for example. So it's a really melee focused because it's a lot of knobs and he put a big bunch of points in Ghaz and then squigs, but the just enough firepower. So we had someone earlier asking about melee tactics. This is the closest we're getting to melee tactics so far that we've seen. Now, did the indirect buggy end up paying off? I don't know, but I'd love to know. Then we move on to his round 5, which round 5 was on Scorched Earth with Inspiring Leadership. Scorched Earth, the long man's game there. So then we go until 90-point win over those Space Marines, and then his last game into again Chaos Space Marines, but these are the creations of Bile. So we have Chaos Lords, Cypher, and then Fabius Bile. Nice and clean. So these are the characters that I'm a bit more. These are probably the top 3 characters in my opinion in their codex if you're going to run them in outside their particular skewed attachments. This one obviously is a skew for Bile, but it's named after him, so he gets the exception. So we have Bile, we have Cypher, so his nice little effect aura, and then just one Chaos Lord. We have Cultists, 5 Magnus Legionnaires, 2 of those, and then 3 Rhinos, followed by 2 units of Predator Destructors. Big Brick of Chosen, most likely going Fabius Bile. He gives him additional toughness. Then we have another unit Chosen. We have some Nemesis Claws, some Possessed, and 2 10-man units of Possessed. So some of those missile kind of fighting, kind of break units. This is where I said having something that could overwatch for Ghaz if Ghaz is playing his mid-table bullying where he's holding out and the enemy has to come get him. If you're playing those long angles of fire, you can end up just having overwatch where when the enemy even tries to contest with any of their basic infantry, they're getting horribly massacred because all of these units don't want to get possessed. Basic legionnaires, chosen, especially not chosen don't want to get shot from flash kits. Now they do have predator destructors, and they can do some work into your flash kits, but that's where it comes into the whole idea here where it's like a threat saturation. Are you putting it into the squigs? Are you putting it into Ghaz? Are you putting it into are you putting in the squigs? Are you putting into Ghaz, or are you putting into the flash kits? Are you putting into the battle wagons full of knobs? The world may never know, but these gets got stuck in. So love to see it. So 82-point win there by Oliver. Let's take a look at his, we're going to call this Melee Tactics Tactical Brigade list. So we have a Beast Boss on Squigosaur with Mork's Kunnin. We have a Big Mech and Mega Armor, Boss Nikra, Ghazghkull Thraka, 2 War Bosses, 1 10-man unit of Boys, 5-man unit of Storm Boys, 1 Truck, 1 Battle Wagon, 1 10-man unit of Flash Kits, 1 Grot unit, 6 Meganobz, 2 5-man units of Knobs with Power Claws, a Rocket Truck Squig Buggy, and then 4 Squig Hog Boys. So, whoa to Oliver for bringing that cunning, diverse unit selection and choice, really getting stuck in with Ghaz and playing into his terrain. Being able to bring the battle wagon, seems to be very proficient on UKTC terrain, and then really bringing out that big Ghaz Brick. And it's so funny that this popped up because not only last weekend was I just thinking I want to try big Ghaz Bricks, and I just haven't pulled the trigger on it, but you did it, Oliver. So you know what? And motivation to Oliver. So shout out to you. You get be a cunning get and check out our new order markers that are in our store. So shout out to you gets being cunning. Help you guys get all the orders set on the table nice and clean for all you gets to get stuck in. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!